I think really the first thing is, that time management piece, and it's a learned skill. And so if anyone feels like they're just kind of floating around and they can't stay focused, working with someone or reading a book or doing something that can really help you with that. And in my book, Get What You Want, I kind of go through a little bit of like how I was able to structure my life, especially when I was between that corporate side hustle, full-time entrepreneur phase.
For sure.
So that is huge. And then when it comes to the marketing and branding piece, I think that I always had a keen understanding of knowing what looked and felt good versus what didn't, and whatever way that means. And I think that has played and continues to play a giant role, not only in my own business success, but really in my ability to help others succeed, which in turn, allows my business to succeed. I am really good at finding the holes and helping kind of people fill those in when it comes to marketing and branding. And I think a big piece that I see for people is that confidence piece, is that people wait around for the confidence, and then they tell themselves that once they have the confidence, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, then they'll be able to write better and create better content and grow their following and be more articulate or whatever it is. But it's all of those things is what actually gets you the confidence, not the other way around. And so it's really first about having the courage to take the leap, the courage to take the next step. So that would be another tool that I have in my toolbox, is I have a lot of courage. I do not waste time or energy worrying about, looking weird or bad, failing, and even as someone who used to be a massive like people pleaser and recovering perfectionist, those things have kept me stalled in the past. But my courage has to be greater than those excuses. And so I think that's another tool that I encourage people to have. It's like, I don't need you to come with me with confidence. I don't need you to have clarity. I don't need you to have all the right answers. I just need you to have some flipping courage to just make a decision.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Now, and just learn from it. And so I think that's the other thing is I have this tool, I think, of always being a student, because I either succeed or I learn, but I don't fail. And I feel like any kind of quote unquote failure is just information, right? That we get to use to pivot, optimize, or redirect. And so I think it's that constant tool of the courage piece, and just the ability to take the next step, the ability to take action, to not get so frozen in your analysis paralysis or your fear or your desire to be perfect or not wanting to look like a fraud or an imposter or all of those things. Yes, they could be a part of your day-to-day life, but they don't need to be sitting in the driver's seat. And so the more that you can have the courage to just move forward, that's been, I think, a big tool for me in a bigger
arena. Yeah, for sure. And I think people can sniff that out, right? Especially when you're pitching a brand, or especially when you're pitching to be on a magazine or on a show or anything like that. People are like, is she really believe in herself? And I think I've had some even sponsors or people who want to sponsor conferences, and we've had conversations and they're like, I want to see you believe in yourself, and then I'll believe in you. And I remember when I heard that, and it was from one of my male mentors, and I was like, what do you mean? Like, I believe in myself so much. And a part of that belief was I willing to put my money where my belief was? Right. And you probably know this all the more than I do with the duration of time that you've been doing this. From a coaching perspective, people want it. They want everything that you offer. They absolutely say that they need it, but they're not willing to invest in it. And investing is not just money, though that's one of the crucial resources connected to it, but it's also the time and the talent. And so how often are you with community members or aspiring community members who money is their biggest block?
Oh, 98% of the time.
It's so true though.
It's like, and that's the thing, that it's like, most people, and there's so much to unpack here. And so there's one end of being the person that won't invest, and then the other end of, let's say you're a coach and you're making an offer to someone who won't invest. And it's like, but you said that you wanted it, that you need it, but why aren't you willing to invest? And I think that another tool that someone can develop and take on, it's just about the power of making more offers. I think there's this subconscious belief that we have that we're going to go out and we're going to share our offer with, we have a retreat in Tulum, and we're going to go and we're going to invite 10 people to it. And those 10 people are going to say yes.
And it's likely not. That would be great.
Telling yourself that these 10 people are going to say yes. It's like, if you want to fill your Tulum retreat with 10 people, you need to go and you need to offer it to 100 people.
Yeah. At easy.
100 people. And then most likely you might have 10 people say yes. And so I really see with a lot of the clients that I coach, which are a lot of coaches themselves, is that they start to lose confidence and they get really insecure and they get really down on themselves because they're like, Julie, I went and I made this offer and no one has said yes to it. And I'm like, well, how many people have you offered it to? Well, I don't know. I sent out one email. Okay, well, how many people responded? Well, I don't know. And it's like, well, what are you pulling this data from? Like you're not even, you're being so hard on yourself based on really nothing. So like, let's actually look at what's available to you and what's actually there. And almost always it's due to, if they're not meeting their goals or they're not filling the space and they're not, whatever that is, it's because they're not making enough offers.
Right.
And it really just comes down to a volume game of, how many people do you want for this experience? And then, then you need to multiply that by 10. And that's how many people that you need to make offers to. And I think that when you start to look at it from more of that analytical standpoint, it actually, you stop taking it so personal and you actually separate from it a little bit. And then that's when it becomes, I think, a little bit more creative and a little bit more fun. And the other thing, that's when you can start putting enthusiasm into what you're doing, because enthusiasm is what leads to sales. That's another thing. And that goes back to what you were saying of like, well, once you believe in yourself, once you're excited about what you're selling, then I'll be excited to buy it.
Because otherwise you're just, it's like a hook and bait. You're like, I have this thing, I want you to buy it. I have this thing, I want you to buy it. And people don't want that. Like when I sell like my clothing or I sell a hair product, your hair looks so good. Oh my gosh, I've gone through 20 other products. Let me tell you all about it. There is this magnetism from our passion because we believe in it and because we know it works. And what I found a lot of times, people have built something out of examples to what other people have done, and they actually don't believe that it could work, which is another reason that they put that sales component, that sharing, that offering to the very bottom of their priority list. They just, and I've been guilty of this, so I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I'll work on all the other fun stuff. I'll build my website. I'll tweak the stuff behind the scenes. I'll send emails, but none of them are offering because I am in a lack of belief over the fact that either my program is worthy, it's not my worthiness, but my program isn't going to serve people. What is your thought on when someone is new into this space? Because that's a lot of the people that I get to serve. Is how do you test this? What is the testing, the beta clients? What does that part look like so that they can build their confidence and believe in what it is that they've created?
Yeah, this really comes down to asking more questions, because selling happens in the questions and then the buying happens in the silence. And I think a lot of times people just talk and talk and talk and talk without actually asking questions. And the amount of feedback that you can get from your community and from your audience, from your following, I don't care how big it is. The amount of feedback that you can get by asking questions to the people that are there, or even your former clients.